Good morning, everybody. Let me just turn off this background echo that I'm getting. Hello, is everybody able to hear me at all? Awesome, thank you so much. So let me just share my screen, friends, one more time. Welcome to week number 5 of our program, Peak Health Mastery. I hope you're all able to hear me. Sorry, there was just a little tech issue at my end. I'm going to put my mic back on. All right, so friends, welcome to week 5. We are on this journey of Peak Health Mastery. And the whole purpose of Peak Health Mastery is to take an evidence-based, holistic approach to achieving lasting health and wellness. It's not just about achieving health in one purpose or one moment or 1 month or 1 year. We want to maintain long-term success, and the journey that we are taking is what you can see over here. The journey is that of we spend the first 2 weeks in mind, then we spend the next week in understanding about the body, and as you can see that when we actually start to understand about the mind, we're getting this information. The body is then having this experience, and as we're getting this experience, last week we understood about the gut. And the gut starts to develop that intuition or that clarity of thinking. And as we progress further, now today's class is not about heart, but today's class is about nutrition 101. And I believe that the nutrition and gut are intimately related to each other. Hence, we decided to put in that nutrition piece along with the gut before we go next week to heart, which is the seat of our emotions, and it is going to allow us to give us that clarity to be able to process our emotions such that our soul knows what its purpose is. So with that in mind, as I said to you, today is about nutrition. Nutrition 101. What does that mean? I've tried to boil down the evidence, the science that is there, and try to bring it in a practical way such that you can actually take the essence of all the studies and the scientific literature. And of course, it's not possible to include 100% everything because there's such a vast ocean of information just on the subject of nutrition alone. But I think as a lay person, what you want to get out of this is tell me those practical things based on evidence that I can start applying into my life from today onwards. And the whole premise is, friends, that when the nutrition is right, your dependence on medication to maintain your health and well-being reduces. And that's the whole purpose. I'm not saying stop all your medications, as I've always said to you earlier. Please take a balanced scientific approach. Don't be overly emotional and take risky decisions. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Arun Dheer. I'm a gastrointestinal surgeon, but I have a very strong interest in holistic health and wellness in an evidence-based manner. I'm a yoga and a meditation teacher, and some of those elements you will see in this class that we are going to be doing today. I've written many books. You can find details about it, and all the proceeds, that is the profits from this particular program that we are running, go to a charity that we founded called Circle of Life Foundation. And the whole premise of that foundation is to educate the underprivileged kids in communities where education, good quality education, is hard to get. We are focusing our efforts in India, Bali, and also in Australia. I also want to thank my co-host Monique, who's here with me today, and she is somebody who's been not only supporting, but she has contributed in many ways, and I'm extremely grateful for her contribution. She's a teacher, also an NLP practitioner, and a teacher and a coach. And the best way to summarize is she's someone she's, by the way, going to be running the next week's class on heart, which is the seat of the emotions. And because we know that unless your emotions change, or unless you know how to handle your emotions in a constructive way, you will always be kind of drifting in ways that will be out of your control. So thank you, Manik. So with that, I just want to say that what I'm going to be sharing with you today is not customized dietary advice. This is not personalized advice. Please do not replace this with medical advice that you may have received from your medical practitioners. I always say use your own judgment, do your research. What I'm presenting today is general information only. I've always said take the best and leave the rest. It's not about me, it's about you. So with that background, I want to firstly say that, let's first be clear about, is nutrition a cause of concern for you? That's the first thing. Do you worry about, like a lot of people when we talk about nutrition or food, they're counting calories, they are triple checking the ingredients, they're worried about every ounce of sugar, whether it's fat free, they're worried about, whether I'm going to gain weight, have you checked the reviews, have I been on a keto diet, and they weigh themselves every day because they are worried that this is going to impact my overall weight. And they are mostly worried about, or the way they think is nutrition or food is about weight. And that's not true. And by the way, this is how most of the ladies think. What about the gents? Well, this is how gents think, When they gain weight because of poor nutritional habits over a period of time, there is poor self-esteem, exercise does not kind of, work anymore. They're not caring for themselves, And what happens is they say, all right, this is too hard, let's go and have a beer instead, And what that does is it sets up that slow but a real and a powerful vicious cycle. And you say, you know what, I'll start working on myself from tomorrow onwards. And we know, friends, tomorrow never comes. So the point that I'm trying to make over here is I'm urging you to develop a bit of a fresh outlook towards nutrition and gut health. Don't be trapped in your old ways of thinking. All I've requested is an open mind. See, as they have said, the human mind is like a parachute. It works best when it is open. A parachute that is closed has got no use. It cannot save you. So all I'm urging you is just have an open mind. Let's see what ideas resonate with you, what ideas may not resonate with you, and then you choose. You be the best judge, but be willing to experiment with something. So with that in mind, let me first do a quick little poll, because I want to know what exactly are the real challenges that the audience is facing today. So I hope you are able to see this question, but let me read it out. What is your biggest challenge when trying to eat healthy? All right. Now, there are 4 choices that you can see, and I'll read out those 4 choices. I just want to know what are the challenges that you are facing. All right, so first is lack of time for meal prep. Now, it's a very common problem that many individuals have, all right? Cravings. Do you have cravings? Or is there a urge for emotional eating, Also, is there confusion around this nutritional information that you are getting? And last and probably most important is social gatherings and eating out such a crucial part of your, I should say, weekly fabric or structure that it is actually impacting on your overall health and well-being? So have a look at these questions and see which one category you would like to address as we move forward. All right, I can see that you are attempting the answers over here, and that's fantastic, because I can see that most of the people are leaning in the category of lack of time for meal prep. So there is, the drive is there, but there is a lack of time, and these time constraints are a big issue for many of us. So let's go further into this thing, because I truly believe, friends, that if diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. But when diet is correct, medicine is of no need. Now, this is a very well-known Ayurvedic proverb, and the whole premise is that you can actually use food. And if you start to work on your food, you will realize that your health and well-being starts to improve to a level where medicine becomes of little use for you. So, the way I'm going to be talking about in this presentation is we're going to be starting with the why, the what, and the when. Because, see, when we understand why food is important, what kind of foods are important, and then when do we have to consume these different foods, we start to actually understand how to tie all of this together. So I hope this is making sense to all of you. So we start with the purpose of food. The purpose of food really is, and I just want to know one more thing from all of you, just so that we understand that, why are we doing this? Let me just go to one more poll question, because I think it is important for us to recognize what I'm sharing with you over here by way of this poll question is that, and the second poll is, this is for me to understand you a bit better. If you could improve one area of your nutrition, what would it be? All right, just one area. And I'm going to give you 4 choices over here for those of you who may not be able to see the options that I'm giving. Number 1 is eat more whole foods. Number 2, reducing sugar or soda intake. Number 3, drinking more water. And number 4 is improving your portion control. You may be eating healthy, but you just may be eating too much too often. And as they say, too much of anything is bad. Too much of even the good stuff is bad. All right. So we got to maintain that balance. So I can see that a lot of people are wanting to make their priority as eating more whole foods. And that's fantastic, because, a lot of what I'm going to be sharing with you today is going to be very relevant, especially in that context. So let's first see, what is the purpose of food? Why emphasizing or understanding the purpose of food is important? Number 1, and I've addressed this on a few different levels. So first is for your physical body, right? You need nutrition. But besides nutrition, what you need is, you want the food to not hurt your system, such as you do not want the food to create more inflammation. Rather, you want this food to reduce inflammation for you. And very importantly, you want this food to actually strengthen you, nourish you, and strengthen you. Next is the mental level. Why do you need food? See, we believe there is this thing called as the standard American diet, or you can call it standard Australian diet. Food affects your mood, your mindset. Now, when you are eating mostly sugary, processed foods and all that, we know they call it the SAD diet, standard American diet or standard Australian diet, So that SAD diet, what does it do? It makes you feel sad, right? It lowers your energy levels eventually, and it lowers your focus and your ability to actually uplift yourself. What about social aspects of food? See, food is not just putting some calories into your mouth. No, food is a platform which allows us to connect with our society. And that's a really essential element, connection, experience, care and concern. Many cultures, like I grew up in a culture where if I went to somebody's house as a kid, and if they offered me food and I didn't eat it, it meant that I did not care for them, So, there are many cultures who associate their level of love equates to the amount of food that they are consuming, or they are offering. And also, it's a sense of appreciation. When someone invites you over for a meal, you just appreciate the connection, the care, concern. Besides this, I also believe truly that food has, as I just mentioned to you, it is also uplifting for your mood. It also is an expression of this gratitude. When you cook together, it actually uplifts your mood. And from a spiritual perspective, there are many cultures that follow, and I would say majority of the religions know fasting. They understand that creating some sort of a sacrifice for a period of time or during certain special moments is an act of gratitude and appreciation for what we have all been given. So I think there are various elements of food, and we got to acknowledge and respect them as well. But the essence of all of this is that there is a bi-directional effect of food. That is the essence. Number one is nourish and strength on one side, if we look at it purely from a scientific perspective. So nourishing and strengthening on one side, and helping with healthy aging by reducing harm on the other side. So these two things kind of work hand in hand together. So once we have understood the purpose, which is the why, let's talk about the what. And before I talk about the what, I want to just talk about this concept in scientific studies, which is called convergence validation. Now, what does convergence validation mean? Convergence validation means truth. All right. So you are getting the truth from multiple different sources. That's what this means. Convergence means all of this information that I'm presenting to you today is converging from different sources. And the three key studies that I'm sharing with you over here are, one is the Harvard Nurses study, second is the Stanford study, and third is the Blue Zones project. Now, I don't want to bore you with scientific stuff, but I do want to tell you that these are three highly respected studies or projects. And let's have a look at them, and you can check it up yourself, because I'll be giving you some resources that you can refer to. So the first one is, friends, the Nurses Health Study. Now this, by the way, is one of the longest running studies that you can see, started in 1976. Right? And it's almost now going to be coming to 50 years next year that it is the length of follow-up. The strength of any study depends on the duration of follow-up that it provides. And that is the kind of, the summary of it, So this study is so well respected from Harvard Medical School, and essentially they have recruited these 63,000 participants. 63,000, that's a huge number. And I'm not going to go into the details of the study, but they did the study on nurses because apparently nurses were much easier to follow through and follow up, and they were essentially following the instructions based on the requirements for follow-up. And this is what they found. And I'm not going to go into all of the details. You can just do a Google search and you can come up with this PDF document that I'm sharing with you. But I'm just going to be focusing on the diet side of things. And what they found was higher intake of red meat increases the risk of premenopausal breast cancer. Now, of course, these are nurses and we are focusing on what is their cancer risk. But what they found was Mediterranean diet reduces the risk of chronic heart disease, strokes, and those sort of, chronic health conditions. They also found that things like, when there was a reduced risk of calcium supplementation because of lower calcium diets. And what they also focused was that, that reduced calcium intake was associated with a higher risk of hip fractures in those nurses. And as far as the brain function goes, they said that the higher intake of vegetables and green leafy vegetables, especially leafy greens and nuts, reduce the risk of cognitive decline. So that's just a baseline. But one of the key things was around association between red meat consumption and biomarkers of inflammation and glucose metabolism. But this, by the way, was a paper from the Nurses Health Study, and Walter Willett, who is one of the lead co-investigators of the study, actually has given a little bit of an interview about it. So you can look it up, But the bottom line is that the more red meat consumption you are engaging in, and of course the more processed, and by the way, the association was for both processed red meats and unprocessed red meats, and they looked at the level of inflammation markers in the blood and also the risk of developing diabetes, which is through glucose metabolism. The next study that I want to talk about is the Stanford Twin Study. Now this, by the way, is on Netflix and you can check it out yourself, the Stanford Twin Study, and it goes by You Are What You Eat. And they took a bunch of 22 twins. Now twins are essentially, they are genetically very similar, and this was their study design. So they took a 4-week period and they gave them an omnivore diet, and essentially then they took the twins, each of the twin partners, and essentially one of them, and one was put on a vegan diet and the other was then put on an omnivore diet. And they actually checked their stool samples, blood tests, dietary recall, what they were having, and it was very closely monitored. And once again, some amazing, just an 8-week period. It's not a very long period, mind you. The previous study was almost 50 years. This is 8 weeks only. And just in 8 weeks, they found that between the vegan and the omnivore options, the cholesterol levels, the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL, dropped by 13.7%. You can see that over here. And the fasting insulin. Now, mind you, friends, just to give a bit of a context, insulin levels, the higher your insulin level, the more is what we say you are in a state of insulin resistance, which is basically something that insulin is driving your hunger. The more insulin you have, the more harder you are going to find to lose weight, and higher is going to be your appetite, because insulin is an anabolic hormone, which means it wants you to store calories. It pushes glucose into the cells, and the lower your fasting insulin levels, the more healthier your metabolism is, especially glucose metabolism. So you can see that, there was a 17.3% drop in the vegan sort of comparison between the baseline and after 8 weeks. And their weight dropped by 2% as well. This is in the vegan population. So the point that I'm trying to make is that in the omnivores, there was no drop. Rather, there was an increase in the fasting insulin levels. So let's just sort of keep this as a line, and I'll let you decide what is best option for you. But there is a myth, and the myth is that proteins are the only food groups that you need to focus on. Okay, and this is something that I hear very often from my patients, many of whom who are trying to lose weight and all of that. Their focus is protein, protein, protein. That's it. And for them, and for many of us, protein equals to meat. All right. If you are wanting protein, you have to have meat, because that is the only source of protein. Well, the fact of the matter is, friends, just like the planet needs balance, your body needs balance too. And if we look at the third study that I'm talking about, which is the Blue Zones project, these are the blue zones, and look it up again. There is a very lovely documentary on Netflix that I'll highly recommend you watching. They talk about these 7 areas. I'm only showing 5, but there are these blue zone areas. Okinawa in Japan, Loma Linda, Sardinia, Icaria, and Nicoya in Costa Rica. So these are all areas, and there are 2 more as well. But what essentially they are doing is they are looking at what are their staple foods. What are these people mostly consuming? Like Okinawa, the highest consumption there is that of yam, which you would say is a potato family, and essentially it is all carbs, but amazing results. So what I'm trying to get at is, just like the planet needs balance, your plate, which is where you're consuming food from, also needs balance. Don't just obsess about protein, protein, protein all the time. Bring in a balance of healthy carbohydrates, which is vegetables and fruits, grains, also protein, healthy fats. You can include a bit of dairy as well. I'm not averse to it, but we can talk about this. There is a second myth that, as I just said, I can only get good quality proteins only from animal sources like lean meats, eggs, chicken, and fish. Well, you can, but I think that's a myth. There are very good plant-based sources of protein as well, such as lentils and beans and legumes and tofu. So you got to explore those options. That is a myth. But what I'm trying to show you here is that diet has got an inflammatory potential. And what I mean by that is that the more red meat, organ meats, and refined carbohydrates and sweet beverages you are consuming, the more inflammation you are creating in the body. And the more, leafy greens, yellow vegetables, tea, coffee, wine, I'm not personally 100% sure about because studies are very conflicting in that space. But majority of these things are going to help you reduce your inflammatory markers. So how do we look at, what are the things that you can include? Well, whole grains are great sources of protein, Nuts, of course, are a great source of protein, and you can do one thing to actually sort of, enhance the properties, the anti-inflammatory properties in nuts is you can activate them by soaking them overnight. Almonds, you can soak them, walnuts, you can soak them. So there are plenty of options you could do that, You could even have sprouts, by the way, again, very good source of proteins, Beans, of course, and fruits and vegetables. The foods to avoid are, of course, the sugars, the salts, the packaged sweets, and processed meats. This is again coming from the Blue Zone Project study, You could also follow a Mediterranean diet, and I don't want to give an impression that I'm only favoring veganism or vegetarianism. You can have a bit of chicken, have a bit of fish, that's okay, but what you're doing most of the time is actually going to make a difference. And as we discussed last week, your gut health is very interlinked with the kind of diet that you are giving yourself. The more sort of, this is a two inverse pyramids that are there. You can see on one side is the gut microbiota pyramid, Mediterranean diet versus the Western diet or the chronic diseases pyramid. And you can see at the top of the chronic disease pyramid is all processed foods, which is something which is going to make your gut microbiome sort of become more unhealthy, which is going to lead to more gut-related issues that you'll experience. So I'm just trying to show you different ways of understanding this concept. And when the gut microbiome is actually unhealthy, it leads to truncal obesity, it leads to fatty liver, which are all elements of what we call as is metabolic syndrome. And this ultra food consumption is setting up a low grade inflammation in the body. Once again, plenty of good quality scientific studies that have been shown over here. So I think I want to just suffice it by saying that just your diet has having a multifarious effect. It is impacting the inflammation, it is impacting your sympathetic nervous system through the gut-brain connection, it's impacting your metabolic profile. Now, for those of you who don't know about this and they are very keen to know more about this particular topic, my latest book, Happy Gut, Healthy Weight, the updated revised 2024 edition is available on Amazon. And for those of you who are actually not into reading books but listening to books, the book is available on Audible as well. So I'd urge you to check it out because there are lots of things that I have put in over here. It's not just about weight loss, it's actually about maintaining a healthy weight. Lastly, I want to give you these two quick resources before we go to the next element or next part of the Speak Health Mastery class, which is going to be a little bit of physical activity, is two main culprits that I want you to check out in your kitchen, all right? The first one is refined grains. Now, guys, if you have these refined grains, not necessarily in package, but I'll tell you in a moment what they are generally hiding in, well, I'll urge you to say goodbye to them because they are actually creating more inflammation in the body. So things like white flour, white rice, parboiled rice, cream of wheat, or degermed corn flour, this is hiding in things like this: cereals, white bread, bagels, candy, pastries, cookies, and white pastas. So you should get rid of them and say goodbye to them. I have on my YouTube channel, I have created a specific video which is called Reduce Inflammation using this 4x4 anti-inflammatory lifestyle program. You can check it out, take elements of this, understand that, I've tried to create a structure. 4x4 is like a structure. It's like a 4-week schedule. Have a look at it, check it out. Things might resonate with you, go for it. The second thing which is hiding in your kitchen is hydrogenated oils. Now, I've been a huge believer. I've talked a lot about it, and I've also created a YouTube video on this. I'll share the details in a moment with you. But these 8 seed oils are damaging your health. Canola, soybean, corn oil, sunflower, as you can see over here, these are all hydrogenated oils. And rice bran, I see a lot of people using rice bran oil. And in fact, some of my own family members, including my mom, was like, oh yeah, we just use rice bran oil, so they are not good for you because they have got saturated fats and trans fats when you start using them again and again, and that is something which is not healthy. So you can also watch this video which I have just shared with you, is your cooking oil making you fat? Now, it is creating a lot of inflammation in the body, and you can check it out yourself. Last part which I want to talk about is when to eat. So we were talking about why, then what, and when. Now, when to eat is an important part, friends, because a lot of us think that, we've got to be eating quite regularly, or so a lot of us think that, we can't eat for a long period of time if we have to lose weight. Well, there is a system, there is a rhythm in the body, and this particular study looked further into the circadian clock of the body. And this circadian clock is like a biological clock which is in the body, and it is affected by a variety of factors. As you can see, it's affected by a person's age, but most importantly, it is affected by the daytime and the nighttime. So, when you're at nighttime, body wants to rest and digest, and during the daytime, when the sun is out, when the light is there, the body is sort of wanting to work, and the metabolic rate is high. So things like, your sleep patterns, whether you do shift work, whether you're traveling across multiple time zones, so jet lag, and genetics and ethnicity are the other factors which can affect your circadian clock. But it is important to recognize that if you are not eating the right kind of foods at the right kind of time, you can slowly either go into a state of circadian rhythm synchronization or desynchronization if you're not paying attention to this, and that can make you more prone to developing diabetes, obesity, and many other problems. So just to put it in a very sort of simplistic way, I often say engage in what is called as time restricted eating, or time restricted fasting, or intermittent fasting. Try it out. If you can't try it out, if you're struggling, just make a habit not to eat after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock maximum at night. Do most of the days, all right? Now, if you said, one day there is some event or something, that's okay. But again, as I said to you earlier, what you do most of the time is essentially going to be impacting on your overall health and well-being. Late night eating, lots of meal skipping. A lot of people that I see who are keen to lose weight, they are essentially saying that, we just have a coffee in the morning, we stay fasting all day and night, and when we come back home at night, we have a big meal because they are starving. This is mostly men. and sometimes women too, you know. So essentially, it is critical to understand that your circadian rhythm is actually something which is determining your appetite, your hormone levels, your appetite regulating mechanisms. So it is really critical to follow that circadian rhythm, you know. Nutritional principles are: eat with a sense of gratitude, eat mindfully, don't eat in front of TV screens or watching your phones, have a balance on your plate. You've probably heard me say this many times, that eat whole foods, have salads before your mains. That way you have already given yourself the leafy greens and you will have less of the pasta or the cheesy burgers or whatever you may be having. And eat in a window of time from say 8 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. in the evening. And within this time, you can eat small and often. Generally speaking, eating big meals is not a good idea, because that way you are kind of, setting yourself up for a poor pattern. Eat small and often. The last resource that I want to give you, friends, is, yes, this is a Clean 15 list by Environmental Working Group from 2020, but they make a list of foods that are low in pesticide residues every year. So if you just searched Environmental Working Group, EWG, the website is right there at the bottom, ewd.org. Just look it up and look up 2025. It will be there. So the latest year they put it up. Amazing resource. They are not trying to sell you anything. They're not for profit, and very evidence-based. So I think if you can just focus on, if you can't buy organic foods because they are expensive, don't worry. Just focus predominantly on the Clean 15 list. From the regular, you don't even have to buy these as organic. So these are things that allow you to kind of, focus on your nutrition. So friends, with that, I want to thank you for attending this first part of this today's sort of Peak Health Mastery class. Next week, we are going to be doing the heart set. But before you go, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're going to do a specific exercise today, which is called the no exercise. Yes, you heard me right. We call it the no exercise. And I'm going to move to my other camera so that I'm in a position to share with you what does this no exercise mean. All right, so can I just confirm that everybody is able to see me? And if you are, that's fantastic. Can I just have a show of a thumbs up? Beautiful, awesome. So I guess what does no exercise stand for? Firstly, let me be very clear. No exercise means nitric oxide dump. Dump meaning like there is nitric oxide which is trapped inside of the endothelial cells. These are the the cells that are forming the inner lining of our blood vessels. Okay, nitric oxide is a molecule, it's a gas molecule which is required to open up the blood supply. So we are going to do three key three repetitions of three forms of exercise, or actually 4 forms of exercise, which will allow us to release this nitric oxide from our endothelial cells. These are the cells that are lining the inner lining of the blood vessels. So we're going to do these 4 components. So let's have a look at this. First one, you can do this along with me. If not, you can just watch me, and then you can do it whenever you get a chance. So the first thing that we do is, this is about activation, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next is bringing the knees close to your chest. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Next is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is one round of nitric oxide dump. Let's do it second time. We have to do 3 such rounds, okay? Second, once again, start jogging and the heels are trying to touch your bum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the next one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And last round. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Beautiful. Take it easy, friends. Just stand, move around your shoulders, and deep breathe in and out, in and out. And then you can even come on your fours. I find this, arch your back up and then arch it down. Up and down and up and down, and then slowly go all the way up. This is a yoga pose, by the way. Coming down, touching your forehead to the yoga mat, and then slowly coming back up. So this is just something which allows you to activate and stretch the muscles, and you have now completed the nitric oxide dump. What we're going to do next is I'm going to get you to take a comfortable seat on a chair, and we'll do a brief meditation. So the 3 components: education, some movement, and then mindful meditation. So let's do that, friends. All right, as I said to you, I'm going to request you to take a comfortable seat and take off your glasses and the watch. If you are wearing a watch, we want to lose track of time. For this brief moment that we are here together, we just want to lose track of time so that we can focus on the current moment, the present moment, because the present moment has got gifts that we have yet to recognize. So I'm going to be turning on my speaker in a moment, and we're going to just listen to my voice and the background music. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold your breath and slowly exhale. One more time. Take a deep breath. Hold your breath and slowly exhale. And one more time, deep breath through your nose. Fill your lungs up. Hold it and now slowly exhale. With your eyes closed and your hands resting on your knees, take a moment to bring all your energy into the present moment. Taking your attention off the next moment, what's going to happen, or this afternoon, or tomorrow, or next week. Bring your energy back to this moment and bring your energy back from any past events that you may be dwelling upon. And express a deep sense of gratitude to the universe for giving you this moment where you have a sense of appreciation, a sense of gratitude, and the feeling of hope. Hope is something that allows you to believe that there is a brighter future ahead. That is called hopefulness. You're full of hope. And when you're hopeful, you're expecting with anticipation that everything is happening to help you. Everything is happening for the good, for the greater good. This allows you to shift your perspective. Everything that is happening at the moment is just what is meant to be. For someone who feels hopeless will see anything that may be negative, throwing them off and causing them to lose balance. But if you are hopeful, you will only see that any challenge, any obstacle that comes is a hurdle for you to cross over, and it is causing you to become stronger, causing you to become more creative and more innovative. And that's what I mean by a hopeful, confident attitude or a mindset. Rest your energy in this attitude of hopefulness, of gratitude and appreciation, and knowing that every challenge brings with it the seed of a greater good. Bring your hands together and fold them, expressing a sense of gratitude for this beautiful insight. And place your hands on your heart and slowly you can open your eyes, affirming that everything is working out perfectly. Your job is to focus your attention on the things that you can do at the moment versus those things that you cannot do. So thank you, friends, for joining me for week 5, where we discussed Nutrition 101. We discussed how no exercise is a very important part of, or should be an important part of your weekly exercise routine by bringing in variety, and also this brief meditation which allows you to shift your mental state from sometimes being hopeless to being hopeful. So I hope you have a wonderful day and a lovely week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Peak Health Mastery, which is next Sunday, and we'll be hearing from Monique on week 6. Until then, take care and stay safe.